This is Maddie77 of Bottom Feeders Incorporated, about to play some Pinball Survival Tournament on Marvel Sphere itself, and I don't normally do commentary on Pinball, but I just wanted to give a shout out to the tournament maker. I have this thing, if I just do any tournament, I'm just gonna write open tournament or tournament, except for in two cases. One is the PBG tournaments. That's a community I'm involved in, and those are closed tournaments. And I try to do a video of every single tournament, regardless of how high or low I score. Lately it's been low. I haven't been doing great on Pinball of late. Trying to work on that. Just need to spend a little more time with it. I've been trying to get my channel up and going, but now that it's up and going, I should be able to spend more time with Pinball. And the others are LeDriver007's tournaments, which are open tournaments, but it is part of a community. I'm part of LeDriver007's Pinball community also. But I just want to give a special shout out because they're always fun tournaments. They're always usually a lot of times survival, but not always, but usually no bonuses on, so it's pure skill. But more importantly, LeDriver is one of those players that if you get a really high score, it's the first person there to congratulate you and make you feel good about it. And if you're not doing so well, it's the first person there to encourage you and try to tell you not to give up. And I really appreciate that. It makes me feel good, and it reminds me how the pinball community here, at least the communities that I'm involved in, are pretty close. And I'm more likely, like even the closed one, PBG, we're more likely when we're doing one of our tournaments and people are having problems with the table, people are more likely, and I've done it myself, to go in and give advice. Not stingy, not like hiding secrets, or go in and be like, oh, this is how you do it, do this, do that, that's how you score. And it drives us all to be better. And it doesn't feel like, I mean, maybe it's because it's niche, but it doesn't feel like Onrush. Like, Onrush has a pretty healthy, happy, non-toxic community, but I think that's just because there's so few of us that we can't afford to be toxic to each other. But with the pinball, well, I think the other thing with the pinball, and it's why I'm being careful with pronouns, it's because I've never really checked what driver's gender is, not that it matters, is the pinball community, not only is it more evenly split between men and women, but we tend to skew older. I mean, a lot of us are people that got into pinball from actual real pinball, so the community tends to skew older, and it tends to be a little more even-sided with gender versus some games. Or at least women who play pinball don't really seem to feel they have to hide their gender as much as in other games, at least, one way or the other. But yeah, that's kind of why I'm doing commentary, is I just really, really wanted to give LeDriver shout-outs for being one of the, in my opinion, best people in the pinball community. And someone whose tournaments I look forward to every week, as seen not just by my participation, but the fact that I do videos of every single one of them. Sometimes I do good. I've taken some of them. I've definitely placed first in some of them. Sometimes I do really bad. And it depends on the table. And also it depends, honestly, on who else shows up. I mean, there's some really good people in the community. You know, got people like Tankerous and Terry Two Taps. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. There's this other person, Jiao. I'm not sure. But they're really good. They've actually taken 2 of the Zen tournaments of late. At least 2 that I know of. So when you play in communities with people that are that good, you don't always win. Or you get close to winning. But it's good. It drives you to get forward, to do better, and it makes you feel good. It's like I said, it's like, it's not... It's a closed group, but anybody's welcome to join. I mean, you gotta... I mean, obviously it's gotta be okayed, but that's even, you go look at the pages, and it's like, you know, ask your friends, tell your friends, everyone's welcome. And not just the 2 communities I'm involved in, but just the pinball community in general, at least Pinball FX, and at least on PlayStation 4. Really welcoming, fun community that I'm really proud to be part of, because I feel like this is one of those places where, when we've seen over the last couple of years how toxic gaming can get sometimes, this is one of the communities that tries to do better, and a lot of the times does do better, and I'm proud to be a part of that. And I'm no way in shape or form gonna say that I'm in any way why it's that way. I mean, not that I'm contributing to toxicity anywhere, you know, I'm kind of just like my YouTube personality, which is my real personality. I'm just kind of there to play games. I don't really have any interest in... Well, games are very important to me. They're not what I build my identity around any more than any other hobby, or anybody should with a hobby. I'm also not one of these people that's too good to be a game. I don't get those people either. I just want to play games. I personally feel that gaming's better the more people that are involved in all types of games, regardless of gender or ethnicity or sexuality or any of your personal identifiers. And this isn't a getting political thing, it's just a... Yeah, the more people playing games, the merrier. I don't believe in gatekeeping. I don't have the old... We used to get hated on, and now everybody's trying to be in it. And I guess if anybody has the kind of history for that, it's me. I've been gaming since the Atari 2600. I do remember when gaming would get a lot of people called a nerd. I don't think it really ever happened to me, but I've lived a weird life, so... That's not to say I'm not nerdy or geeky. I am. Both. I just... Growing up the way I did, around the people and the places that I did, hanging out on the street, getting involved in some of the shady stuff, and I'm not proud of that, but it happened. Like, I didn't have a lot of time to be called a geek or a nerd. It wasn't like... It's like I always joke, and I'm not proud of this, and it's not... It's a joke, but it's not completely like... And I'm not proud of this, I'm not bragging about this, it's just facts of how I grew up. It's like I always say... I'll say to people is, yeah, me and my friends played Dungeons and Dragons, but we were also the same kids that we got our books by beating up the nerds that had Dungeons and Dragons. Which, as an adult, makes me feel embarrassed and shamed, but What can I say? I wasn't a good kid. I think the only place that I really am bitter about a fan base now that wasn't a fan when I was a child. Hold on a second, I hear something beeping or buzzing. I don't know if it's coming from the game or not. I want to check. Can't tell. Is Metallica. And that's only because literally, like, I'm not going to, but it's not just in general. Like, I can literally name names of people that when I was preteen to teenager listening to Metallica called me and my brother and my friends Satanists and used to put us down and we'd call us long-haired freaks and blah blah blah. And then after the Black Album, Metallica was their favorite band, and it's along with the fact that Metallica stopped making good music around the Black Album, it kind of, yeah, I definitely have a chip on my shoulder about that. I'll admit that. Not necessarily proud of it, but it's damage done, I guess. It's sad. The only real takeaway I have from most of that too is I wish I had realized earlier that I prefer Megadeth anyway. That's the thing, as a kid, I loved Metallica, and I was so into it, keeping up with it, that, you know, I knew the stories, and I hated Megadeth, because Dave Mustaine was a jerk, and Metallica fired him because he was a jerk. And the funny part of that, whether ironic or not, is that Dave Mustaine really is a jerk. That's not made up. But he's also a much more talented musician, in my opinion. As an adult now and looking back and listening to it, I feel that some of the early Megadeth is so much better. Like Killing Is My Business is such a good album. And it's funny because most of the good Metallica stuff, like when they stopped making music I like, also happened to be when they ran out of material that was written by either Dave or Cliff. I don't know if a lot of people understand, they were still recording songs that were written by Dave all the way up to Puppets. Name is like on Killing. You have Mechanics, which is the same music as Four Horsemen, because Dave wrote that song. Yeah. I'll be honest, the lyrics of Four Horsemen are probably better, but Mechanics is a better song due to its speed and how it's played. I think Dave's definitely a better guitar player than a lot of people. Just none of that changes the fact that he really is an insufferable jerk. Like, that's the big thing that keeps me, even to this day, away from really being too much into Megadeth. That I cannot stand Dave Mustaine. As much as I like the music. As much as Hangar 18's one of the best. Well, the whole album, really, Rust in Peace is one of the best metal albums of all time. And it's got the best twin guitar attack of all time. It doesn't change the fact that Dave Mustaine is kind of an insufferable prick. I hate that. I hate that when musicians you like are just jerks. or actors or whatever. That's worse than when they're criminal or sex fiends or whatever. And I'm not saying that it's good for people to be those things. It's just, it's a lot easier when you find out, like, that a Roman Polanski is a rapist, because then you can just make the blank statement of, well, I'm as talented as they are, I just can't support that, so I'll just whatever. Whereas Dave, it's like, it's not. There isn't anything specifically where you're like, can't listen to him because he hurts people. It's just, yeah, he's a jerk. It's like another person, and their jerkiness wasn't enough to put me off their stuff. It's like one of my favorite authors of all time, Harlan Ellison. It's also one of the biggest pricks that ever walked this planet. And like, the worst part is sometimes he was right. And even when he was right, he was just so insufferable about it. But at the same time, he wrote some of the most important pieces of literature I've ever read. And due to him mostly working in the format, he's in a large part why, even to this day, short stories is still my favorite way of digesting fiction. I mean, I like a novel, even like a good novella or a novelette. But there's nothing like a short story. I don't care if it's in a magazine or on its own. A collection of an author or an anthology with a theme with multiple authors. Just throw short stories at me, I'm in. And while I prefer horror and science fiction, I'll read anything, including literary fiction. Short story, I'm in. And that was kind of Harlan's career. There's other authors too, even authors that write books, like Neil Gaiman. I find most of his short story work superior to his comics or novels. My favorite Stephen King works are all short stories. Though he's one of the few where after the short stories, my favorite stuff is the longest drawn out stuff. Like, I'm the one, wait, you ever hear about the person that actually thinks Insomnia is one of his best books? Hey, that's me. Yeah, I love Insomnia. That book's just awesome.
Captain, this is no time to stand down.
And it's funniest when you realize that it's Dark Tower adjacent, and it really only exists that 1,500 or however long page novel that just goes on and goes in so many weird directions. Really, at the end of the day, exists to introduce a character that shows up for like 20 pages of the Dark Tower. Important person. Very, 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 very important role, but also a very small one from the perspective of their appearance in the book. That would be, I think the name is Danville, but it's Patrick. It's the artist that can draw things in and out of reality that Roland uses to get to the tower. That's all I want to say. Shit, I'm about to spoil the Dark Tower, and I'd rather not do that. Bentley Little's another one. I mean, I like a lot of Bentley's work, but his short stories are something else, especially for like weird fiction. Like, I guess he gets pegged in the horror more than anything else. Though I'd make a strong case. I don't think he's ever been put into this category, but I'd make a strong case that he's more bizarre than a lot of Bizarro authors. He's kind of just a category of his own. I actually first got into him through the Borderlands anthologies. I think the only author, either the only or one of 2 or 3, if there's more. But he was in every edition of the Borderlands anthologies, which were horror anthologies, but they were ones that, like, basically the whole conceit of Borderlands was no tropes. And Bentley don't do tropes. He's not often. Most of those who don't know, probably the most popular / famous thing based on his work is the Master of Horror episode, that old Mick Garris Showtime anthology, the episode The Washingtonians, the cult, the Washingtonians is a cult, the cannibals and whatever. That's based off of a Bentley story, and it's pretty accurate to the original story, too. I think the first thing I ever read by him was in Borderlands. It was about this guy that goes to work one day. Or goes to work many days. Well, he gets a new job, and he goes to his job, and he never remembers what happens at work. It's a good paying job, and blah, 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 but the whole thing is he never remembers. You figure, the way the story goes, you figure he's not supposed to remember, but one day he does something. I forget how it goes, so, but to try and remember what goes on. And basically he sits at a table with these people with like monkey heads that sit there and bang rocks together. And they sit at a boardroom table and just bang rocks together all day. It's just the weirdest, bizarre story. My favorite thing by Bentley, though, is a novel. Like, when I say I like his short stories best, I do, but that's in general, that's taking his work as a whole. But if you want to pick just one thing, there is a novel of his that's my favorite. And it's got stuff in it that in this day and age would be considered problematic, but I still love it. If you go to the novel called The Ignored, which is really, it's a bizarre one too. It's about this guy who starts disappearing. And it basically boils down to he's average. Like, he's so average that he's not visible anymore. And there's others, and that's why they're the ignored. And it just goes from there. That's typical Bentley Little stuff.
Well, that's my department.
Well, as typical as a guy writing fiction that out there can be.
Keep fighting, Captain. We shall stand for Earth. The lock is lit. We must return to our start. All locked. This should not be man's war to wage.
When I say problematic, like, the stuff was problematic back then. It's not like it's not one of those things that was just considered okay. And there's a lot of stuff like this. It's not one of those things that was considered okay then, but isn't now. Like Ace Ventura jokes. It's not that. I mean, these things that I'm talking about were problematic back in the day. Difference being back in the day, those problematic elements were part of what contributed it to its horror status and had people going, wow, he really went there. Whereas nowadays, it's the type of thing that would get people being like, they need to take that book off the shelves, ban him, and you know, the kind of stuff that happened to James Gunn. Like, James Gunn's comments were just as problematic when he originally said them, but people weren't losing careers over that kind of stuff back when he said them. I'll never understand that situation. Especially, it's like, what did you expect? The guy worked for Troma. I guess I'm kind of biased. I was a James Gunn fan long before he started doing Guardians of the Galaxy. So.
Show no mercy.
I guess this is where I fit my YouTube channel description of and other types of entertainment, commentary on or thoughts on. I'd like to do more of that. It's just sometimes it's hard finding the right thing or time to talk about stuff. I have a lot of thoughts and no one to talk to. So. Wow, what's the secret of your channel? You sit there and write these things? No, that's just stuff that's on my mind that I would talk to anybody else if there was people around. My health don't let me get out much. That's part of it. When you gotta be careful about how much movement you do. I mean, because added on, not only do I have the clot thing, but I have a bad leg. Because I shattered my knee and had to get it surgery to fix it. And it's like, that's what I get across, try to get across to people. Like, oh, these days they can fix that easy. I don't understand why your leg's bad. Well, because I'm poor and on poor people healthcare. Like, yeah, if you're Tom Brady, they build you a knee that's better than your original knee. But if you're me, they just screw a plate under the bone and screw the two plate to put the two bones together. And call it a new kneecap. Right, people don't understand. That's the thing. These people that are mad about their taxes and people getting health care. It's not like free health care is the best. I mean, maybe if we had real universal health care, it would be, but as it stands right now, trust me, you're not stealing all that much money out of your pocket. I don't think it costs that much to screw a plate into my bone. Oh yeah, that gets hinky. And he even told me, the doctor even told me that might happen, that someday they might have to go back into. Just because of it, because it's a plate that's screwed into the bone. And I don't know if what I just said was offensive. If so, and you hear it, please let me know. I'll apologize beforehand, but let me know so I can't use it, won't use it again. Sometimes you don't think. It's like when people say, oh, I got chipped. And it's like, yeah, that's actually kind of offensive. But most people don't know and they don't think of it as that way. So if hinky is in any way offensive, I apologize for that, and let me know in the comments, or send me an email through my Facebook account so that I know not to use it in the future. Right, because I think about that, I say it, and then I think about how many things that like that. And you find out later, oh, that's offensive. And it's like, I don't know. It's like I had that same issue. I don't know. I don't think the video ever went up. Maybe it did. Because not everything I record goes up. Well, I was wondering at one point, same thing about the phrase tool. Is tool offensive? I don't honestly know. I even discussed it with someone. It's like, I don't always know, and there's words I won't say. Well, obviously I try not to say offensive things anyways, but there's words, that you won't like. I'll never say the N-word. I'm a white guy. I'm not going to say that. There's no reason for it. It doesn't matter. Even if you were given that permission or you're singing along to a song. No, it's not that hard as a white guy to just realize that I'm never going to say that word. Or like calling someone cheap by calling them an anti-Semitic slur. It's just, obviously I'm not going to do that. But then sometimes you don't know because terms like retarded, you can't use retarded at all anymore. But it's not necessarily a slur. It's been used so much as a slur that you can't use it, but it is actually... And unfortunately, that's how it became a slur, but it is actually a proper name. The reason why people with mental challenges were called retarded wasn't to be slurred. It's because they're slow. And that's the whole thing, is the mental retardation, the development is slowed. Like, it wasn't meant to be insulting, but too many people used it as an insult, so now that to the point where now you can't even say it in an academic setting without being offensive. And it shouldn't have to be, but people are jerks. And so that's why I wonder sometimes of is this thing I just said offensive? And it's like, because I don't think it is, but if it is, I don't want to get caught flat-footed. Especially I make content now. I don't ever expect to be somebody, but with my luck, I'll someday be somebody, and somebody will go through my videos and be like, oh, did you hear about the time he said that? And it's like, well, I realized I wouldn't have said that. It's not like these people you find, going back, it's not like all these people you find examples of them saying the N-word, like, that ain't gonna happen. Or there may be other things that I just didn't know were considered offensive now.
I'm coming for what is mine.
And sometimes words change. Same as I remember when I wouldn't have called someone gay because it would be insulting. Like, it's funny, it's like they talk about the whole try excuses to use the F word. And it's like, I would never call someone that. It's wicked insulting. And you can throw out as many South Park type diatribes as you want, but it's an insulting term. Whereas when I was a kid, calling someone gay was insulting too. Whereas now it's not. It's a descriptor, like they're gay. So words can change, both good and bad. But that's way too far off of where I was originally at. And the original point was, and I would like to get back to that. So yeah, most of my favorite literature and what I like to read is short stories. So I do read a few novels, but I read a lot of nonfiction too. I like nonfiction. Just depends on what it is. I like a lot of stuff that's about history or sociology. Like, I really like social studies type stuff as a kid. The psychology of society is fascinating.
Multi-ball! Avengers assemble! right, Avengers, here I am.
I never read this series. I need to re-up my Marvel at some point. I stopped for a while. That's one of those things I like.
Holding my position.
Maybe if I have money left over for shoveling, when I'm done with all the other things I can buy, maybe I'll re-up for a month or two. That's what I like. I like the Marvel program there. What's it called? I don't know. I forget it. But the Marvel Digital. Marvel Unlimited. I like Marvel Unlimited, but it's one of those things where I get it for a while, and then I read everything I'm interested in reading at that point, which is sometimes old stuff, sometimes new stuff, but I get to the point, and then it'll just be like, it would be at the point where I wasn't reading it for a month or two, but I was paying for it. So now I pretty much wait until there's something new that I really want to read. It gets all out and collected. And then I'll subscribe for a month or two, and during that period I'll also catch up on old stuff that I'm interested in. But that's going to be all for today. Just wanted to play this tournament a little bit and talk about LeDriver and give LeDriver some kudos for being such a great person and such a great part of the pinball community on PlayStation 4. And talked about a bunch of other weird stuff. It's been Matty77 of Bottom Feeders Incorporated. Until next time I talk to you.